What kind of person lets hunters onto your private ranch, watches them shoot your pregnant goat in labor, and then calls it just an animal? That's the question I was screaming inside when I found Daisy, my prize goat, bleeding out in the straw, her eyes pleading for help as her unborn kid fought to survive. It was a crisp morning, the kind where the dew sparkles like diamonds and the air smells of fresh hay. I was heading to the birthing pen, humming softly, ready to welcome Daisy's kid into the world. She'd been with me since she was a wobbly-legged baby, bottle-fed through cold nights, shielded from coyotes, and loved like family. Now, she was about to become a mother, and I was armed with blankets, a heat lamp, and a heart full of hope. Then a gunshot shattered the quiet, sharp as a whip crack, and my world turned to chaos. I dropped the bucket I was carrying and sprinted to the pen, my boots slipping in the mud. Daisy was writhing in the straw, blood pooling beneath her, her cries low and guttural, not like any goat I'd ever heard, almost human, raw with pain. Her eyes locked on mine, wide with confusion, and my chest tightened like someone had clamped it in a vise. Another shot rang out, not as close, but enough to jolt me into action. I knelt beside her, hands shaking, trying to press a cloth to the wound, but the blood kept coming, soaking the hay, the dirt, my hands. Then I saw the two men in mismatched camo, rifles slung over their shoulders, strolling through my eastern pasture like they owned it. One waved at me, casual as if he were on a Sunday hike. "You lost?" I yelled, my voice cracking with fury. They froze, exchanged a glance, and the taller one said, "The HOA lady said it was fine. Said we could bag some deer, that this was part of the wildlife corridor." I wanted to scream, but the words caught in my throat. HOA? This was my ranch, private land, for generations deep in my family's blood and sweat. Before I could tear into them, I heard the screech of golf cart tires on gravel. And there she was, Linda, the self-appointed queen of the neighborhood HOA, rolling up in her ridiculous sun hat and oversized sunglasses, looking like she was inspecting a country club instead of trespassing on my property. "I told them it was okay," she said, arms crossed, her voice dripping with smug authority. "You've always said that pasture's underused, and the HOA board approved seasonal access." I stepped toward her, my hands balled into fists. "There's no board that controls my land, Linda. You cut my fence. You got my goat shot." She was in labor. She sniffed, while VYing a hand like she was shooing a fly. "It's just a goat. Probably feral anyway." The rage hit me like a wildfire, burning from my gut to my fingertips. I closed the distance between us, not to threaten, but to make her feel the weight of her words. "You and your weekend warriors are lucky I don't have my shotgun right now." Linda flinched, just a flicker, then straightened. "I suggest you calm down before I report you for threatening behavior or..." The irony almost made me laugh. She let armed men onto my land, got my livestock killed, and I was the threat? Daisy wasn't just a goat, she was years of care, a bloodline I'd nurtured, a piece of my heart. Neighbors started gathering, drawn by the commotion. One called animal control, another the sheriff. When the deputy arrived, he took one look at the hunters, who admitted to firing the shot like it was no big deal, and then at Linda, who babbled about her authority and some non-existent HOA buffer zone. He wasn't buying it. He asked for property lines, permission slips, none of which Linda had. He turned to me, calm but firm. "You want to press charges?" I nodded. "But first, I want them to see what they did." I led him to Daisy, still lying in the blood-soaked straw, her breathing shallow. Her kid had made it out, trembling and weak, but alive. I cradled it, feeling its tiny heart against my chest, and said, "Document every inch of this." The vet arrived soon after, took one look at Daisy, and shook his head. He gave her an injection to ease her pain, and she slipped away, her final breath a soft shudder that carved a hollow in my chest. I didn't cry out in front of Linda. But standing over Daisy's body, the kid pressed against me, I made a vow. "You broke my fence, Linda. But you broke something bigger, and I'll make sure you never forget it." Sleep didn't come that night. Daisy's cries looped in my head, a cruel soundtrack to my grief. At dawn, I walked to the pen, coffee gone cold in my thermos, and stared at the blood-stained dirt. No water could wash it away. Animal control and the sheriff had their reports, but I knew justice for livestock moved slow, if at all. Linda had walked off with a warning and a smirk, claiming she'd misunderstood the land boundaries, that HOA maps showed my ranch as recreational space. The word recreational twisted in my ears like a curse. I headed to the east fence to assess the damage. The steel wires I'd reinforced last year were snipped clean, rolled back like an open gate. Bright orange and pink ribbons fluttered from posts and trees, leading straight to the pen markers for the hunters, a deliberate trail. Linda hadn't made a mistake, she'd planned it. Near the pen, I found a wooden stake with a laminated sign. Wildlife Observation Area, authorized by HOA committee. It had a fake seal, like something a kid would print for a school project. I tore it down, crumpling it in my fist, my breath coming hard. My neighbor Tom, a grizzled guy who'd lived nearby for decades, pulled up in his truck. "Heard about Daisy," he said, tipping his cap. "Real sorry." I nodded, throat tight. "You believe she thinks she can claim my land for her eco-fantasy?" Tom spat in the grass. "Woman thinks the world's her sub-EVY shown. Tried to tell me my rain barrels were an eyesore." He glanced at the fence. "You fixing this?" I nodded. "Not just fixing. I'm making it permanent, electrified, gated, signs every 10 feet. He offered to help, and we spent hours setting temporary posts while I planned a bigger overhaul. I took photos of every cut wire, every ribbon, every boot print. At home, I dug out my deed, every inch of this land etched in my memory, but I drove to the county office for satellite maps and easements. There, I found gold, a 20-foot strip along my property's rear, a leftover easement from an old road plan, legally mine. Linda's whole HOA buffer excuse was a lie, and I had proof. I made copies for the sheriff, my lawyer, and on a whim, posted photos of the fence damage and fake sign online. The post blew up. Neighbors shared their own Linda horror stories, one fined for sunflowers, another for a horse trailer on her own driveway. My private tragedy was becoming a public reckoning. Linda, meanwhile, called an emergency wildlife meeting via Zoom, circulating flyers accusing me of harboring unregulated livestock and endangering protected species with my goats. She called Daisy a nuisance animal and my ranch a threat to ecology, even tossing out goat-based terrorism in her rant. I recorded it all, sent it to my lawyer, Anna, who said, "This is bad, but not for you. We're going to make her feel every inch of this." I installed trail cameras with infrared and cloud uploads, one angled at Linda's property, view sible from her window. Let her feel watched. I rigged solar-powered speakers to blast goat distress calls if anyone crossed the fence without disarming the system. Legal, but haunting. Tom stopped by with feed and a six-pack, watching the kid goat, now named Hope, chase a cricket. "Naming her?" he asked. "Hope," I said. "She's tough, like her owner." He chuckled. "Fitting." Linda, undeterred, formed a wildlife coexistence board, claiming credit for compassionate responses to dangerous livestock. Her newsletter had blurry goat photos and lies about fecal runoff. She even claimed I'd illegally moved property lines. Anna's response? "Let's bait the trap." I planted signs saying, "Trophy buck spotted here," near the community trail, with fine print. "Entry by permit only. No HOA access." Within 48 hours, the cameras caught Linda and the same hunters cutting my new fence, her pointing at trees, recording on her phone. The sheriff, pre-alerted, pulled up as they froze. Linda stammered about her committee, but the deputy held up my property map. "This is Mr. Cole's land. You've been caught trespassing twice. That's criminal." One hunter was arrested for a prior weapons offense. Linda got a court summons for trespassing, property damage, and reckless endangerment. Her golf cart was towed unlicensed and out of bounds. I watched the footage, feeling not revenge, but restoration. In court, Anna dismantled Linda's defense with maps, videos, and the fake committee documents. The judge ruled in my favor, ordering Linda to pay damages and banning her from my land. Her HOA conduct was referred for re-VYEW, threatening her grip on the neighborhood. Outside, Hope lay in a portable pen, neighbors petting her, offering support. Tom gave a thumbs up. A guy named Ed, fined for his red barn door, handed me coffee. "You're the neighbor we need," he said. I didn't gloat, just drove home with Hope curled beside me, the wind in my face. Weeks later, the ranch felt peaceful, the silence earned. Hope grew fast, her limp fading, her spirit like daisies. Neighbors pushed back on Linda's rules. Her wildlife committee was disbanded, her fines overturned. She was suspended from the HOA, her lawn browning, her influence gone. With settlement money and a grant, I built a new birthing barn, a fresh start. One morning, Linda appeared at my gate, no sunglasses, just jeans. "I'm sorry," she said. "I thought I was protecting something, but I made it worse." I didn't forgive her, just said, "You cost me something irreplaceable. I can't forget that." She nodded, said she was selling her house, and left. I never saw her again. Hope gave birth to twins in the new barn, their wobbly legs a quiet VY Tory. The community painted a mural of Daisy and Hope in the town park, a symbol of perseverance. At the town fair, kids drew posters of Hope the Brave, and the mayor gave me a plaque for resilience. I hung it above the birthing pen, a full circle. That night, with Hope at my feet and stars above, I knew this land was mine, the truth was mine, and peace was mine too. No one would ever take that away.